welcome to Spotlight on Middle Country. My name is Lenore Paprocki, and I am the president of the Greater Middle Country Chamber of Commerce.
And my name's Elizabeth Malafi. I'm the coordinator of the Miller Business Center, and we're here with Pastor Scott from the Centereach Bible Church. Welcome. Thank you.
Welcome, Pastor Scott.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. And actually, my name, everyone thinks my name is Pastor Scott. It's actually Pastor Scott Kraniak, but no one could ever say that name, so it's Pastor Scott.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Well, Pastor Scott, I know it's probably a very long story, but somehow or another, can you try to condense how you got to where you are and at Centereach Bible Church now? I know that you have, everybody has their story. So can you tell your story in a short synopsis?
It's a hard story. I actually never got far in life. I actually went to the elementary school right across the street, North Coleman.
Wow.
Okay, and it's interesting that the church that I pastor is right across the street from where I went to school, and grew up in Centereach, Newfield High School, class of '81. Did everything that everyone did. Was planning on being, this is true story, heavy metal drummer. Okay, had long hair like you, Lenore, back in the day, longer than yours. And you know what? Looking for, what do they call? Looking for love in all the wrong places. And long story, God found me, and if anybody would have told me I would have ended up being, a Christian or a God person, I would have said no way. And if they ever would have told me I was going to be a pastor, I would have said impossible. But
Wow.
God has a sense of humor, and here I am all these years later.
Well, they do say God. It is written in the Bible that God picks the most unlikely people to be His warriors.
Yes.
But I think it's interesting that, the fact that you wanted to be in a heavy metal band, had the long hair, is hysterical. And I think
hysterical.
a lot of people here are probably learning that about you. But you've kind of kept that, that edginess with the Riverhead Raceway. I think you had mentioned this before we started. So can you tell us a little bit about where that comes into your being a pastor? Because I don't know many pastors who are also at like the Riverhead Raceway.
Yeah. There's a cool story. If anyone wants to look, the New York Times actually came out one year and did a story on me out there. And if you go to New York Times, they have a video. It was a story, people with odd jobs, and it was, how did I become a chaplain for a racetrack? I go out there, I do a smoke show, which is when I spin my tires. I start the races each Saturday, and I'm the only pastor and our church has a race car. We're probably the only church that has its own race car. And I did get flack, over the years. Some people didn't get it. I don't understand what you're doing with race cars, but you know what? God has a way of taking the passions that we have, and if you intertwine them with doing His work, it's a win-win.
Absolutely.
I always love cars, fast cars. I grew up in that world, and there was an opening at Riverhead Raceway. They always had a chaplain, and they wanted a chaplain, and they asked a ministry called Racing with Jesus, which is a NASCAR ministry across the whole country, and they placed chaplains, and it's hard to find clergy who are into this. So they saw that I was doing I was going to the local car shows with my car, hanging out, reaching the people, and they found me and said, hey, you want to go to Riverhead and check it out? I've been there for over 15 years now.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I'm, as many of you know, I'm there every week and always see Pastor Scott. I actually was lucky enough to sit in his car, and while right before the show, he does this burnout that's like magnificent. And
I'm known for my burnouts.
So much fun. I had such a blast. It was a memory that I'm always going to remember. A lot of fun, and I know that you've made a lot of great relationships there at Riverhead Raceway. Great camaraderie in the pits. My daughter's been racing 4 years now, and it's fantastic there. So,
well, it's interesting that you said that. People don't expect, you got flack for it, and people don't expect a pastor to be at a raceway. But it kind of goes to being a business person, chambers of commerce. That we're librarians going to a chamber meeting, and people are like, what are you doing here? Or what's a pastor doing at a raceway? Or why is a chamber putting on this YouTube interviews every week? And you have to go where the people are, and you have to think outside of where your normal parish might be. But of course, your constituents and the patrons of your church, some of them enjoy racing, some of them enjoy other things. So why wouldn't you be there? But can you tell us more about why you, as a pastor of a church, did join your local chamber, and what that chamber membership means to you as it relates to the community?
Well, a couple of things you might not know, that I was on the Brookhaven Town Youth Board, and I was the chairman of the Brookhaven Town Youth Board for a couple of years. There was a time when I was really involved. I was in, the Civic Association, the chamber, a lot of different things, and it was always, I want to get out there, into the community. I love children. I love, we really are youth-oriented youth groups, and I loved when I was with the Brookhaven Youth Bureau. I ran and organized and oversaw a lot of the programs that the town would put out, and it was important to get into the communities. People know that we're not just this religious institution, that we are, the term today, giving back to the community, a place for the kids to go. We care about our local community. It's just not just like my church is everything. It's we want to be a part of our community where we are a resource for the police. I am also, I hate to say it sounds horrible, but I'm the neighborhood watch captain for the area. So, we have neighborhood meetings like in the old days. Everybody would meet at the church and they would talk about the what do they call them? The town hall meetings. Years ago, they used to meet at churches, and we still do. The people, local community, they want a place to come. The town, I'm very friendly with the people at the town, and we discuss, what's happening. A couple of years ago, we were really involved in that.
Right. Pastor Scott, I also know when you were talking about being about the community, you have a community program where you help the youth and counsel the youth. Can you speak a little bit on that?
Yeah. My before I was a pastor, actually, my passion is counseling, and my specialty is depression, anxiety, and cutting, suicide prevention. One reason is because I've been there. Okay, and I'm very open about it. I've been depressed. I've dealt with anxiety. I almost took my life many years ago. I had a suicide note and everything. And it was how I felt. God said, you know what, you're going to go through this, come out of it, and you're going to be able to help people. And I've been a counselor for about 20 years now. And it's important to me because today it's over the top. I mean, before COVID, it was bad. And now my practice, I was just talking to my receptionist that we have to cut back because the counseling is just over the top. And especially if people had anxiety before this and depression, well, you could just throw gasoline on the fire. So, and especially youth, I counsel all the way down to like 5 years old. Believe it or not, there are children with depression at 5 years old. And I have a thing for, the teens. Cutting, I specialize in cutting. It's a big phenomenon today, and not in a good way. So we have a 24/7 hotline. People can reach me. And I have a good network. I have some friends who are associates. I work with a psychiatrist and a therapist that we tag team match. And even if, medication is needed, I can't prescribe it, but I do the counseling and I work in unison with psychiatrists and other therapists. If we need to, family counseling. I mean, families are crumbling, marriages are strained, and it's something that, people have actually started coming to the church through that, because most churches don't have a counseling ministry. And so a lot of churches would send all their people, all the depressed people to me. And it got to, at some point, just way too many people. I mean, I could do this 24/7, 7 days a week. So, and it was taken away from my response, because the church allows me, I mean, people don't realize, I work for the church. They allow me to do my practice here. So when my practice started to get so big that it was, and I was involved with the town, I was taken away from my responsibilities of my church family here. So I
Right.
have to walk a fine line between my track family, my church responsibilities here, and the community. And I try to balance, and plus my own family.
Right. Yeah, your balancing act, I
Yeah.
have to admit, Pastor Scott, knowing you like I know you is a heck of a job, to say the least. But, you're speaking about your congregation. I know, well, I guess I'm going to guess my church had to change everything when this COVID-19 hit. Tell me a little bit about how, tell us a little bit about how, you changed and changed up. And the word of the day is pivot. How did you pivot your churchgoers, the congregation? What did you do to keep them involved, with the church and keep the church, relevant and still acting out?
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know what? I mean, God has a way of working all things together for good, and we're actually more active now than we've ever been. And our church is kind of the little house on the prairie church, if you ever saw it. And we've always been like 10 years behind everybody else. So we never had an online presence or anything, but we were forced to.
Right.
So, we started doing the live streaming. I started to do, and I've done it since the COVID started. I do a Word of Hope podcast. It's like a 3-minute thing. I send out to people a word of hope each day. And now it's all over. The people in other countries are starting to get it. We started a show called Life Talk Live on CBC TV, where it's every Tuesday night, 7 p.m., where I put on my counselor hat and we take life questions. And it's live interactive shows. People can interact, and we have guest speakers that come on. I don't know if you know Ken. You know Ken Auerbach.
Yep.
He's a lawyer.
Lawyer.
His wife is Lauren. He was a guest, and we had a one night was on depression and anxiety and different things through the filter of God's word. We went outside. We're blessed to have such a big piece of property that's very well maintained. And we have been. I mean, last week we were cold. We've been outside having church out, and people actually don't want to come back in. They like it so much. People bring their blankets and beach chairs, and we have a band. We bring the band out there, and everybody just really loves it. We started with the drive-in movie thing. When that
Right.
first, we could only do the drive-in thing, and everybody had their cars parked outside, and that was like, I don't know, April. We were freezing out there. So you modify and you adapt, and we've become more interactive with people outside of Centereach. We have people all over the country who are following all of our podcasts, following our live streams, following our YouTube page.
Right.
So it really pushed me and this church out of the dark ages, so to speak, because we had to become a little more tech savvy, and we're not. We need tech people, which we're one step above two cups and a string here.
I think you guys do a great job. I watches and
Yeah.
I think everything I've seen you've been doing a really great job as far as getting God's word out important. And I'm enjoying it. I've been watching
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
I've caught quite a few, and especially the Tuesday night one. And it's been great. It really has been.
And I think, it's just wonderful to hear you say all the changes that you've done based on what's happening. And Lenore said it, we've all had to pivot. And to see the middle country community, how quickly the businesses that could, the organizations that could, to just say, listen, we can't just sit back and wait for this to be done. Our community needs it. Our community needs the chamber still. Our community needs the church. Our community needs the library. So to see that our little community, middle country, is strong and does not sit back and wait for anybody to do anything for us. We're going to figure it out.
Yeah,
And
it is
really
great.
wonderful to hear that.
And I want to give a shout out to some people in the community during this all. I mean, a lot of people, we said, how can we help? And we were gathering masks. People were making masks. Remember that in the beginning? You couldn't get masks. We had many families making masks. We have a couple of our families. I mean, they own local places, Uncle Joe's Pizza in Lake Grove. they were sending up. We told them, my daughter-in-law is a RN at Stony Brook, and they needed food. They were there working 20, crazy hours. So, we were orchestrating getting food up to them, pizzas and stuff. And, people wanted to do something so desperately. What can I do? And, so we found, and not just us, other churches did the same thing. We're not like the best guys around. It forced everyone to be creative. And to, what I also did is I would have fees for counseling, and we have waived all of our fees because we started to do on-phone counseling. People that obviously didn't want to come see me anymore. So we opened it up, anyone in the community, and I told like Kevin Laval and the town, anyone is, can't cope, they don't know what to do, they're just at their wits' end, I'm offering, free counseling, hour counseling on the phone, free of charge. Call. We're here to talk you through this. And I mean, this whole season has been encouraging people, getting them off the ledge, and it's drawn a lot of people closer, to God, and to, gee, this is really out of our control. What do we do?
Right.
Yeah.
I do want to bring up something that was mentioned when we were chatting before this interview started, because I'm fascinated. Something about a Jeep in Africa.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
can you tell us a little bit about that before we wrap up?
Yeah. There's besides a race class, I'm an unusual pastor. They call me that. I'm very unusual, and I don't want to be like everyone else. And I'm also a Jeep guy. I love Jeeps. I restore them. And I don't know if you remember, a couple of years back in the news in Sierra Leone, Africa, there was the great Ebola outbreak. And when the Ebola broke out in this little village of Sierra Leone, it wiped out all of the parents and left the children. So there was a whole village that was just orphans. And I know a missionary that we worked with, and it was one of those, and I'm not giving any credit, I didn't want to do this. I was building a particular Jeep, and he had a need that we can't reach these people with supplies. It's in a remote area. You need a really off-road four-wheel drive vehicle. And he was visiting us, and I showed him my Jeep, and he goes, wow, we could really use that. And I was like, really? So we ended up giving him that Jeep. And what was really great, and I really decked it out for that terrain, is it cost us, to get from Centereach, Long Island, to ship this thing, and all the paperwork and the red tape all the way to Sierra Leone, Africa, West Africa, it was a lot. And I had to raise $5,000 it cost to ship it there.
Wow.
So and I tell you, people from the racetrack, people from our church, people from all over the country, I did one of those GoFundMe. I said, we needed money. We got the vehicle. We can't afford to get it there. And I tell you, within like 2 weeks, we had $5,000, and we put it on a trailer. We drove it down to a port in Maryland and shipped it off. Took about 2 months to get there. And
Wow.
it's now there, and I have many pictures of the children. When the Jeep comes, the Jeep has a name. It's called Isaac, the Jeep. We call him Isaac. And I was actually thinking about writing a children's story about Isaac the Jeep, who comes to save the day, because the kids would all run around the Jeep when it would come, because supplies were coming. So
Right.
that's the Jeep story.
Right.
Love it. That's
Great story. It's a
That's
great
great.
story. Yeah. So Pastor Scott, we really appreciate your time today. I know that there's so many other things that we could really talk about, because you are just such a well-rounded, fellow, and we could go on forever. So I think we'll have to schedule another one of these later down the line and learn a little bit more about you. But in the meantime, appreciate all that you do for the community. We appreciate that you're always there, and you are, for people who are in need, and without hesitation you jump on to whatever challenge may be in front of you, and it's really appreciated. And I just want to make sure that that our little community, the Middle Country community, really cares about and appreciates what you do for
Thank
us.
you. Thank you. And always remember this one last thing. Centereach Bible Church, established in 1957, non-denominational, got a big sign, all welcome. We have people of all different faiths who came, all different nationalities. We are a multicolored church. People, it's just great to see who we are here, and everyone is welcome, and there is no, religious affiliation.
Right.
It's just, we're a simple country, old-fashioned little church that just wants to be there and do God's work, do Christ's work for our community.
Thank you so
Amen to
much.
that.
Thank you, everybody who was watching, and we appreciate it. Thanks again, Pastor
Okay,
Scott.
thank you so much.
Pastor
Thanks for
Scott,
having
thank
me.
you so much. We'll see everybody next time on
Bye.
Spotlight on Middle Country. Bye-bye.
I'll see you at the racetrack.
You got it.